I have to introduce my panel, and let's do that right now. Otis Sanford is ABC24's political analyst. Chris Tudor is the former chairman for the Shelby County GOP and a current attorney. And Reverend Kenneth Whalum is the pastor of New Olivet Worship Center, and most importantly, a former Memphis City School Board member.
Indeed.
What has happened to your school board, Reverend?
I told Otis before we started filming that I had a discussion with my wife that I don't want to go to the meeting Tuesday, but I feel like I have to go in order to try to reason with the commissioners who are about to make what I believe is an irreversibly tragic mistake in firing a superintendent under these circumstances. I don't want to go, but I feel like I have to go.
All right, interesting. I do hear, by the way, that tickets at the front are going for about $100, and as you go back, it gets cheaper. All right, let's just bring people up to date. There was this big meeting on Tuesday. No votes were taken, but a lot was said, including a 14-page response from Dr. Fagans to the accusations against her. And then there were some new allegations that were surfaced from Commissioner McKinney. Let's go through what those three, as I understand it. She talked about Fagans dismantling critical support systems. She said that Fagans has delayed approving contracts, leaving principals and teachers without the resources they need. And she also said that schools have no tools now to track student progress because of a lack of decision-making by the superintendent. And I want to go to a column that was written by at your alma mater there, Daily Memphian, Jeff Calkins, who was always a great writer on things, and shared some of his views after attending the meeting. He said the meeting gave the impression that McKinney and the other board members who are seeking to oust Fagans are making it up as they go along. And that gets to a central truth about this ongoing civic fiasco. Whatever you think of the job Fagans has done, it can't possibly be as bad as the job the board has done trying to fire her. Instead of persuading the community that Fagans has to go, they have rallied the community to her side. In their effort to oust the superintendent, they have martyred her instead. He goes on to say, it has struck me that a significant portion of those who have rallied behind Fagans seem to have been motivated primarily by a fundamental contempt for the school system. She fired a bunch of people, so therefore she must be great. What are your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Reverend Whalum.
Well, McKinney's remarks draw out in stark contrast the fact that somebody on the inside is feeding information to the board members who are dead set on firing the superintendent. Those charges that she makes, they are very serious charges, but they did not just develop overnight. Somebody on the inside has known about all of these things, and I can tell you from personal experience that it is not wise or according to policy that the board would fire a superintendent by resolution without taking some preliminary steps ahead of time. Somebody's going to have to come out from behind the cloak of anonymity and identify themselves. And why would you be ashamed of identifying yourself if these things are true? And so I am hoping that, well, now that the attorneys are involved, Crone is involved, now we got another outside attorney involved, all that we can be sure of is that a lot of lawyers are going to get paid and very little substantive public education is going to take place.
What are your thoughts as we head into Tuesday's meeting?
I thought you just hit the nail on the head at the very end. This is complicated. I thought Jeff's article, as always, was thoughtful and well written. I don't know what the answer is, but I can tell you one thing. We have totally lost track of the only reason for being for the entire school system, which is these kids. Yeah. This is a total distraction. It's a continuation of a series of distractions around the main office, around the superintendent, and we've got to get back to fixing what is right now a very troubled school system. And that's what's been lost in all this. We've been talking about the adults and the jobs and the scandals and the dilemmas and the debate. And the one thing that has been left behind is the very raison d'etre of the entire Memphis Shelby County school systems, which is these children, many of whom are impoverished and need all the help they can get. It's a total tragedy. They need to figure this out immediately. I hope they do it and are able to rebuild some unity in the school system. And so we can get back to focus on what the most important thing is.
Otis, to the Reverend's point, he's right. There has been this drip, drip, drip of allegations. I'm told by pretty well-placed sources that that is due to the fact that the lawyers are involved and they have to be careful about how they say things and when, and that there are more to come between now and next Tuesday. What are you expecting?
Yeah. Well, Tuesday, initially I was expecting that the school board would stand down, that there would be too much public pressure, too much political pressure, and too much pressure from just parents and everybody else. I'm not so sure just yet. I've talked to some other people who say that there may be an appetite here with at least 5 and maybe even more school board members to stick to their guns and get rid of Superintendent Fagans. Now, having said that, I agree with everything that you read from Jeff's excellent column. He also said in that column that none of this means that he thought that Superintendent Fagans was the right person for the job to begin with. And frankly, I don't think she was. I think that the search firm did a terrible job of vetting candidates, and the previous school board did almost a terrible job of making a decision. You know how that all went for a long periods of time. But what we have here is a major crisis. The December 17th meeting was the unmitigated disaster that has caused all of this now. And I just don't know for sure where we're going to end up on Tuesday, but I'm thinking now that we may have that disaster go full blown and they do fire her.
Well, I think that there is a solution, short-term and long-term, and I think that solution is for the governor to come in and take over. The state has the legislative authority to do so. I think it must be done, and I think it must be done before the vote.
Too soon, in other words.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, not to excuse what happened on December 17th, but people seem to cannot help themselves to get involved and weigh in on this, including the Shelby County Commission, a separate governmental body that really does not have any say on what the Memphis Shelby County School Board does, but they couldn't help themselves. They passed a vote of no confidence this week. Now there's a push from 5 of them to urge the school board to have town hall meetings before they take a vote on the superintendent's tenure. What are your thoughts? No matter how you feel about Dr. Fagans, what are your thoughts about it? This would be, do we go down the road now where the Memphis Shelby County School Board passes a vote of no confidence about the Memphis City Council? I mean, it seems like a dangerous precedent. We'll start with you on this one first, Chris.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time this has happened. If it's ever happened, I do think the town halls are a great idea. I think to slow this down, to make sure that the process is observed, to give the community the opportunity to weigh in on this. I mean, the meeting happened in December, and then everybody went home for Christmas and New Year's. It feels very rushed to me. So I thought...
You support the idea, but do you support the principle of the separate body getting involved like this?
Well, the Shelby County Commission does have authority over taxes, and the taxes do fund the school district. So there is, I wouldn't say oversight, but there is an interrelationship there, and they obviously feel like they hold the purse string, so they have the right to weigh in.
Including the Fraser High School, which they threatened, and I think would argue in a rather childish way, that they were going to pull the $33 million and delay the construction of that school as a punishment, I guess, for the way what things went down at the school board meeting.
I would have disagreed with Chris 25 minutes ago. but I think that perhaps town hall meetings might be a part of the solution as the governor comes in, interrupts everything, takes over for a moment, and allow several months for town hall meetings so that the governor can hear what the public thinks about it. I just think it has to be, now we're into personalities, and I'm interested in what, as a political historian, what Otis would have to say, because certainly we as a community have come up against things like this before, even if it wasn't public education.
I don't think we've come up on something as awful as this. The last really contentious thing of this nature was the selection of Dr. Harrington back in 1978. That's the only thing that I can compare it to. I'm not in favor of town hall meetings, with all due respect to you guys, because I think we're going to get the same thing we got on December 17th.
More hot air.
More hot air, more anger, more insults to the school board members. I just don't think we will accomplish anything there. So I don't really know where we go here. The current school board has messed us up so much with that December 17th meeting that it's almost irreparable. And that's unfortunate because you're right, Chris, the children are the ones who are collateral damage in all of this. I just believe that if the majority of the school board thinks that they are doing the right thing, they have to live with the consequences of this. And if the consequences is the governor coming in, if the consequences is a recall legislation in Nashville, and then all of them get kicked out afterwards, then so be it. But I think that I'm hearing that enough of the school board members believe that the allegations against her are so egregious that they got to do something.
So Board Chair Joyce Dorsey Coleman is one of those who has publicly stated going into this meeting she just doesn't think there's any point in delaying this anymore, that it's go ahead and time to take the vote. And she, among others, feel they have the votes necessary. So really quick, as we go down the line here, yes or no, will Dr. Marie Fagans be MSCS superintendent this time next week? Otis.
I initially said yes, but now I'm saying probably not.
What are your thoughts, Chris?
I'm hearing the same things. I'm worried that she won't be. I'm worried that they're going to go through with this.
Absolutely yes.
Okay.
Because the state is going to take over.
By tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. We'll see what happens.
Tomorrow's a holiday, remember now.
Right.
Yeah, we can think about that later.